My name is Dr. Chike Akua, and I'm a teacher transformation specialist. Today I'd like to speak with you about critical thinking to reclaim consciousness. And many of the things that I'll be sharing with you today can be found in my book, Honoring Our Ancestral Obligations, 7 Steps to Black Student Success. The eminent African psychologist Dr. Asa Hilliard once remarked, "It is unnatural for a person or people to try to function while unconscious or partially conscious." You know, when first responders get to the scene of a crime or an accident, if a person has been knocked unconscious due to a staggering blow, one of the first things that first responders do is they want to revive the person and bring them back to consciousness. Well, for many of the young people that we serve, many of them have been knocked culturally unconscious through generational trauma and also through skillful media manipulation and miseducation. And so one of the things that we have to do, and one of the things that I've done with my students to help to revive them, is to pose some different questions to them. And I'll never forget, a few years ago, I was working with some middle school students, but I've done this with elementary, middle, and high school students. And I simply go to the board and I write on one side of the board, black male. And on the other side of the board, I write black female. And I ask students, what are some of the primary, most predominant images that you see in the media relative to black males and black females? And when we start with black males, the students always tell me the images that we see are violent, criminal, disrespectful, uneducated, sexually irresponsible, deadbeat dads. These are the predominant images that they say they see in the media of black males. Then we go to black females. I say, tell me, what are the primary and predominant images that you see of black females? Okay, they say bad attitude, loud, video vixens, scantily clad, sexually promiscuous, unwed and welfare mothers. And I always stop at a certain point. I said, wait a minute. I just asked you to share with me the predominant images, not the negative ones. And their response is always, well, Mr. Akua, these are the primary images that we see. So then I get to what I call the critical question, because this is where it gets really interesting. I say, well, what percentage of black people do you think act like all of these images that you all have just enumerated to me? And their response can only be described as absolutely shocking. They said, Mr. Akua, I think 70% of black people act like that. 80%, 90%. I said, oh my goodness, they got you. They're like, Mr. Akua, what are you talking about? I said, they got you. What do you mean they got us? What are you talking about? Don't you know 70 to 80 to 90% of black people are hardworking people that get up every day going to a job, or get up trying to find a job, get up going to school or trying to get in school, or working diligently to graduate and get out of school? Don't you know that 70, 80, 90% of black people are hardworking, law-abiding citizens seeking to better themselves? But what happens is all of those negative images that you just described, that are placed in broad media circulation all over the world, make you think that that's what it means to be black. Those images also serve as justification. Justification when a black person is brutalized by the police or is a victim of some form of white terrorism. And in many people's minds, well, it's justified. Don't you see what they do? So what we have to do as critically thinking educators, what we have to do as critically thinking students, is that we have to begin to transform these images from the alien images to more authentic images, and understand that what it means to be black is to operate with excellence, means to operate with achievement, means to be goal-oriented, means to be driven by a certain inner sense of high morals and values. This is what is a more authentic representation of our cultural tradition. So to help us on this journey to reclaiming our critical consciousness and helping us not just to be able to have reading comprehension when it comes to reading words, but to be able to read the world, we develop what we call the Akua Media Rating Scale. You've probably heard of the Nielsen ratings. The Nielsen ratings are quantitative. They just want to measure how many people are watching a program at any given time. The Akua Media Rating Scale is qualitative, meaning we want to evaluate the quality of a program, the quality of a movie, the quality of a piece of music, okay? And so what we do is we choose a movie, a television program, or a piece of music, and we ask some very strategic questions. These questions are very simple, but they really make you think. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is the image of black manhood in this movie, in this program, in this piece of music? What is the image of black womanhood? What is the image of black family life? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, what is the image of black youth? Is there unnecessary and explicit sex scenes or talk of sex? Is there unnecessary and explicit use of profanity? Does the main character operate with a sense of high moral values, or do they undergo a transformation that elevates their sense of values? So we have a list of like 10 criteria. And in doing this exercise with young people, one of the things that I determine is that I'm never going to get students to stop watching certain things, but if I can get them to think critically, analytically, and reflectively about what they're watching, then they're on the road to reclaiming their consciousness. I hope that you'll use the Akua Media Rating Scale. It's in my book, Honoring Our Ancestral Obligations, 7 Steps to Black Student Success. I hope that you'll use it, and I hope that every time you see a movie, a television program, or hear a piece of music, that you'll consider these values in your analysis of what you're viewing and what you're listening to. My name is Dr. Chike Akua, and I'm a teacher transformation specialist.